I started playing Stardew Valley for the first time this year and I became obsessed with the mods. I've spent countless hours putting together a mod list that turns Stardew into an immersive, beautiful, and most importantly, fun game. Here are 100 mods to make Stardew Valley the perfect farming sim. I'll split these up into different sections. You can look in the descriptions for the timestamps. Let's start off with UI and convenience mods. UI Info Suite 2. This is such a useful mod. It gives you icons for people's birthdays, the weather, your luck. You can also access the calendar and daily quests right from your inventory. It'll show you when animals can be milked. This is also super customizable, but I guarantee if you install this, you'll never uninstall it. NPC Map Locations. Another mod you're going to want to have. This will show you all the NPCs in the map when you open it up, so now you won't be searching around all of Pelican Town to find Marnie. Schedule Viewer is a simple mod that lets you see people's schedules for the day. This is especially useful when using some expansion and NPC mods that I'll talk about later. So if you're wondering where a certain NPC is, you can now see what they're doing for the day. Event Lookup. Some of you might not want this. I personally find it very useful. It gives you a menu to see if you have any hard events that you can go to and where they're located. If you prefer to randomly stumble across stuff, then don't install this, but with a lot of expansion mods, I would say this is almost required so you don't miss out on events. Lookup Anything. Another mod I personally consider essential, but you might not want it. With F1, this pulls up the wiki page to where your cursor is. It even shows you different mod content. So if you're confused about how to gift someone something or where something is, you can just pull it up in-game instead of having to Google it. Convenient Inventory is another mod that you'll install and never get rid of. This gives you a button in your inventory that you can use to auto-sort stuff into chests. So if you place an item into a chest and you run around the mines collecting a bunch of different stuff, you can just come back home, go near your chests, press the button, have stuff get automatically stacked and sorted. It feels amazing not having to rummage through chests constantly. Better Friendship is an awesome mod that shows little bubbles above NPCs' heads if you have something in your inventory that they like, so it makes it much easier to gift things. It also shows who you haven't talked to for the day, so you can raise your friendships easier. I would recommend turning it off for max friendships though, which can be checked on in the menu. Better Crafting gives the crafting and cooking menus a much needed UI overhaul. There's now separate categories for different types of stuff. You can make the icons smaller as well and just make it more organized. This can also be fully customized. Better Jukebox. For the music lovers, this mod is awesome. It gives the Jukebox a UI overhaul so you can easily start and stop music, put on a randomizer. It's also much faster to scroll through the different songs. I love it. Autonomals. Animals will continue moving when you're not at the farm, so you don't have to wait around for pig truffles. This makes animals much more immersive and useful. Horse Overhaul. You can now friend your horse. This makes the horse a full animal NPC. They'll move a bit faster at max friendships, and it adds an inventory to the horse with a saddle, which makes it much more useful to run around when using the horse. TimeSpeed. If you get stressed out by the 13-minute time limit per day, this is a must-have. I put mine on 1.4 for everything, and this feels like a much more relaxing way to play the game. You can also pause time if it's almost 2 a.m. so you won't pass out. This is a very useful mod. WaterBot. This is a bit of a controversial mod, but it makes the beginning of the game before you have sprinklers feel much better. When you have the watering can equipped and you right-click on a crop, your character will auto-water all the crops around you. It's completely fair though because it's using the same amount of energy you'd use just by doing it manually. You just don't have to constantly click. Automatic Gates automatically opens and closes gates, super useful. Destroyable Bushes lets you destroy any bushes you don't like. They'll grow back just like trees, but if you place items or buildings down, then they'll be gone. NoClip Mode is useful for glitches. Skip Intro is self-explanatory. It lets you start the game faster. Let's talk about aesthetic and visual enhancements. Clear glasses. This is by far the most important mod for visuals. I cannot play without this. It's what you've been seeing this entire time in the background. This ups the resolution, adds visual effects to water, makes the snow look way prettier, makes text more readable, and it even makes the game load faster. There's also some post-processing reshade stuff you can do, but I would recommend just turning that off in the settings. On default, it makes the colors look too washed out, but without it, it makes the game look incredible. This might not be for everyone. It did look weird to me at first, since it smooths out the pixels and makes them higher res, but once you get used to it, you can't go back. It just looks so much better. Visible Fish is an amazing mod that shows you fish swimming around in the water. It also has practical use since you can see which specific fish can be caught in each area. Dynamic Reflections adds reflections to all water. It looks so pretty. It'll also leave puddles in the ground the day after it rains, which will have reflections as well. And at night you can see stars in the water. It's so good. You guys definitely want this. Dynamic Windows and Golden Hour. Two separate mods that work well together and make the windows look so good. Golden Hour adds some yellow, pink, and nighttime light, while Dynamic Windows lets you see the outside world. world. So you'll see rain, snow. In the summer, you can open the windows and get some dust bunnies. If it's windy and your windows are open, you'll also see leaves flying into your house. These mods are so good, and it makes interiors feel much more immersive. Animated furniture and stuff makes the static trophies and portraits much more interesting. It adds a bunch of cute little animations to objects, which just makes the game feel so much more aesthetic and dynamic. Wind effects adds wind to crops and trees, so on windy days, you'll see some things just like slightly blowing in the breeze. It's super cool and it adds a lot of immersion. Diverse Stardew Valley seasonal outfits makes all the NPCs have different outfits for weather, events, when they're inside, outside. It even adds some new dialogue for weather and makes the characters a bit more diverse. Farmer Portrait Reactions allows your farmer to have their very own customized portrait with different reactions for events and dialogue. There's also a seasonal version of this mod where the portrait changes into different outfits depending on the season, just like Diverse Stardew Valley. But since this mod requires a bit of back-end work, I didn't add that one. You basically have to make the pixel drawings yourself. There is a website that pulls up a character creator so you can kind of make the initial portrait, but then you'll need to edit it in Photoshop or whatever other photo editing tool you use and add the different reactions and then place them in the mod folder. But if you do manage to set this up, this mod is incredible and it makes the game much more immersive since you'll have different reactions to events and dialogue. Elle's seasonal vanilla buildings adds cool little seasonal flair to all barn and house buildings in the game. Snow-covered craftables does exactly what it says and covers stuff on your farm that you craft with snow during winter. Dwarf portrait replacement gives the dwarf more emotion and dialogue. Seasonal cute characters for East Scarp adds seasonal clothing for the East Scarp expansion mod, which I will talk about in a bit. More consistent books fixes a small detail in the book page of the menu. If you didn't notice, the price catalog that got added in 1.6 was shaped differently than the other books in the game. It's not a big deal, but this mod fixes it so it's more consistent. CP Rainy Days. This might not be for everyone, but this adds really nice music to rainy days in the game. I think the soundtrack fits in great with the rest of Stardew Valley, and I really look forward to rainy days now instead of having to live in silence. Certain NPC Snore adds snoring to some of the NPCs, like Lewis and Pierre. Their partners might also get annoyed by their snoring, which can be quite funny. Watch TV lets you keep the TV animation playing after you choose something to watch, so you can actually roleplay as watching TV. It's not much, but it adds a bit of aesthetic flair. Custom menu background is an incredible mod that randomizes the startup menu every time you play the game. If you're getting bored of the blue clouds, I would highly recommend this for some more variety. Alright, let's talk about gameplay mods. Date Night Redux adds very cute custom date events that you can go on with your spouse. There's a whole bunch of different ones depending on the time of year. There's even special, unique dates if you're dating someone like Haley or Alex. This also works with custom NPC spouses, and it just adds way more fun to being married in the game and makes your pixel relationship feel much more special. Miss Coriel's unique courtship responses adds more unique responses for dateable NPCs. Immersive Sandy makes Sandy feel more a part of Pelican Town. After you get her up to 2 hearts, she'll start going to events, coming to the saloon, and comes into town on Sundays. There's also more heart events, and it just makes Sandy feel like a more fleshed out character. Morris Redeemed. I haven't actually seen the events for this yet, but I am excited. 2 weeks after finishing the community center, Morris will return to Pelican Town, and you can help him become liked by the residents. This feels like a great mod that fits in with the rest of the game. Conversation System. I absolutely love this mod, and it's so underrated. This adds a new conversation skill and a new dialogue system that's totally separate from other dialogue in the game, so it's completely compatible with everything. If you press Q, you'll enter a new dialogue system with NPCs where you can ask about other NPCs, gossip, rumors, etc. You can even barter with them, buy stuff off of them, or sell stuff from your inventory. As you level up, you'll have more success with bartering and making friends. They'll even give you new little quests to have you talk to other NPCs and give them certain items. They also interact with custom NPCs, so you'll just see them talking about all kinds of different NPCs in the game. And if you're married, the conversation system will recognize that, so your spouse can give you special little gifts every day. You can also insult or praise NPCs, which takes energy. I always insult Lewis every time I pass by him. This mod is incredible, and you should absolutely check this one out. Muttering Farmer lets your farmer talk. When you interact with stuff in the game like fighting or eating food, your farmer has a little speech bubble and will say something. They'll also greet other NPCs or crowds of people. I love this mod, and I think it increases immersion a lot. It's also super fun seeing all the different stuff my farmer says. I did tone this down a bit in the settings because on default your farmer constantly comments on every single crop you pick up, which can be quite annoying, but you can customize this to whatever your preferences are. Egg Festival Winner Randomized that makes the Spring Egg Festival winner, well, randomized. Instead of Abigail just winning, it's going to be a different NPC every time. Unique Winter Star makes dialogue on the Winter monsters are different every single time, which just helps with variety. Happy Birthday gives you a birthday in the game. You can choose any day you want, and on that day, other NPCs will now give you gifts instead of you having to gift them. It definitely helps to make you feel more a part of the community. Now for expansions and new NPCs. I am not using Stardew Valley Expanded. I did take a look at it, but I felt like it added almost too much to the game and kind of changed the vibe of Stardew Valley. I'm also not using Ridgeside Village. I think it's a good expansion, but the NPCs in that mod yap a lot more than the vanilla NPCs, and you can't use your horse very easily on the Ridgeside map, which annoyed me. Baldur's Village. If you're a fan of Baldur's Gate 3 like me, this is a must-have. It's actually the entire reason I even re-downloaded Stardew Valley. This adds new Baldur's Gate 3 villagers like Shadowheart, Halcyon, Gale with their own area on the top of the map, new events and festivals, custom music, a romanceable Asterion. There's a new saloon you can go to, new food. There's a super interesting story with how they're fitting in the Baldur's Gate 3 people into the rest of Pelican Town, and they'll also mingle with each other, so the Baldur's Gate 3 villagers will go to events and stuff that happen in Pelican Town and they'll talk with each other. It actually fits in with the vibe of Stardew Valley super well, and it doesn't add a bunch of complicated crafting, so you can reach perfection very easily with this mod. It's compatible with all other expansion mods as well. If you're a fan of Baldur's Gate 3, I would highly recommend this. It's awesome. The Ranch expansion, Marnie and Jas. This isn't really an expansion mod, but it does flesh out Marnie and Jas with new hard events and new stories, and it just makes them feel like more interesting people. The Last Smoluanu makes the dwarf into a full-fledged NPC with a bunch of new hard events. It fleshes out the dwarf into a very interesting character, and you can learn more about the dwarfs in the game. Mr. Ginger. This adds a new friendable cat NPC, which works with the Ranch expansion, and he also works with a bunch of other expansion mods. He's super cute and has some fun stuff that I don't want to spoil. East Scarp. This is a very well-known expansion mod. It adds a whole new separate area to the east side of Pelican Town with new NPCs, new fish, new beaches, new mines, even a small new farm that you can unlock. You can also download a bunch of other custom NPC mods who will live in East Scarp, and I'll talk about a few that I'm using. As far as the three biggest expansion mods like Stardew Valley Expanded, Ridgeside, and this, I feel like East Scarp actually fits the vibe of the rest of Stardew Valley the best. It's not doing too much, and getting perfection is still very reasonable even with all the new stuff that it adds. There's also super interesting stories and events that happen here. I would definitely recommend this one if you're looking for an expanded experience that's still very manageable. Juliet and Jessie. This is a very immersive mod that changes the generic shopkeeper NPC in JoJo Mart with a fully realized one that lives in East Scarp. They have tons of new hard events. She also interacts with other mods. While both Juliet and Jessie are cute, Juliet's story is very interesting, and it's honestly almost on the level of Shane's. It makes the game feel way more fleshed out with having that shopkeeper be a full NPC. Professor Jasper Thomas. This adds a new custom NPC, and he's decently interesting. I haven't gotten that far into his story, so maybe it'll become better, but I really like his interaction with things like the dwarf, and this mod also makes Marlin and Gunther into full giftable NPCs in the game, which is very nice. Nora the Herpetologist, I think I'm saying that right, adds a new fun NPC to East Scarp. Truthfully, she does yap a lot more than I would like. Her story is about her going into academics. One thing I really did enjoy though was her custom music. Her theme is a bop, I'm not gonna lie, and that did make me like her more. Lurking in the Dark. This adds Sen, a lovable little shadow creature who ties in well with the rest of Stardew Valley. His story is one of the more interesting ones, and he'll definitely be one of your favorite NPCs. Highly recommend this guy. He's almost better than Krobus, and I think you can even be roommates or marry him. Alecto makes the Witch a full giftable NPC with a bunch of new events. She'll also interact with a bunch of other mods like East Scarp. This honestly feels like an NPC that should have just been in the vanilla game. She's awesome. Distant Lands revamps the Witch's Swamp to make it more lively and realistic. It also lets you friend the Goblin NPC, add some new quests, events, items, fish, crops, forage, and much more. And if you have Alecto installed, there's specific quests and events just for her. Festival of the Mundane. This adds a new festival on Spirit's Eve for the shadow creatures. You'll need to buy a disguise or they'll kick you out, but this is a super fun mod where you can see the shadow creatures partying. The Forgotten Woods. This is a secret woods expansion with new secrets to discover, things to forage, stuff to fight. It is kind of a late game area though. The enemies are pretty tough, but it feels very natural to the rest of Stardew Valley and gives you some other late game activities to do. I am using the limited spawn version though. The default one drops ancient fruit as forageables, which I felt was just a bit too much. The limited version has the basic forageables, and this is just kind of a fun area to explore. Or even if you need wood, you'll never run out of wood again. If you made it to the end of this video, you are incredible. Those are all the mods I have for you. Let me know what you think in a comment. What are your favorite mods for Stardew Valley?